Hi guys, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about your project and the worksheet that I want you to fill out on Google Docs. So that's the worksheet, and I'm going to walk you through it from my point of view. So what could I do and what I'm actually planning to do now that I'm also better. So how much CO2 does your car produce per kilometer? So I'm driving a Seat Alhambra, and I was looking it up online, and I found out that the CO2 emission for Seat Alhambra goes from 153 to 163 grams per kilometer. So I'm just going to take something in the middle. It's not that important. So I am going to say that it's 155 grams per kilometer. Okay. So, how far do you travel by car each day? So, this depends for me whether it's a weekend or not, but I live in Klagenfurt, so I checked. I live close to the Steinerne Brücke, not very far from there, and the distance to Velden am Wörthersee is about 20 kilometers, as you can see here. It takes 15 minutes by car, it takes an hour, a bit more than an hour by bike. And so I'm going to use this 20 kilometers. So it is 20 kilometers each way to and from school. Which is 40 kilometers per day. And then I'm just going to assume that for everyday traveling, like going shopping and so on, I'm going to add 10 kilometers per day. Actually, that's too much probably. It's probably going to be more like 5 kilometers. Oopsie, sorry. However, what I would like you to do is do that in a little bit more detail. Just look up a few distances that you would drive and then add them up. So I could, for example, say, okay, I am very often also going to Boulderama because my kids go climbing every Monday, for example. So that's 3 kilometers to go there and back. That would be 6 kilometers. So actually, it's going to be something between 5 and 10 kilometers extra. So maybe that 10 kilometers that I had initially wasn't too bad. So let's leave on average 10 kilometers extra per day, giving me a total of 50 kilometers per day. Okay, so next, how far do you travel by car each week? Now, it could be as simple as timesing this number that we just found by 7. However, for me, that wouldn't be true at all because A, on weekends I don't travel to school and back, which is the furthest distance that I travel, and B, we tend not to use the car on weekends at all. So I would say it's a maximum of 10 kilometers on weekends. And then we need to take those 50 kilometers that I found first, times it by 5 for 5 days a week. 5 days per week. And that would give me 250 kilometers. Then I'm adding those 10, giving me total of 260 kilometers per week. Okay. How many kilometers of this distance could you walk or bike? Now, I have an e-bike, but I simply have to say I don't have the time to take the bike every day. So what I could do is take the bike, for example, 3 days a week or 2 days a week, and therefore, or maybe just go there just go to school by bike and take the train back. So I'm just going to assume that I am going to save 5 times, so 5 single trips to school. So each trip was 20 kilometers, so that would be 20 times 5 per week. So that would be 100 kilometers that I could save per week. Okay. So how much CO2 could you save in a day, in a week, in a month? So if I'm saying like 20 kilometers per day, that would give me 20 times, these are the kilometers, times my 155 grams that I have here, times, 155 grams of CO2. Now, just calculating that, so do I have a calculator on here? No, I don't. So then I'm just going to calculate that. So that gives me 55 times 2 gives me 310. Adding the 0 is 3,100 grams of CO2 per day that I could save. Okay. Then I said I'm not going to do this 7 days a week because I'm not even traveling to school 7 days a week. So I need to times this number by 5 to find my savings per week, right? So that would be 3,100 grams times 5 to give me my savings per week. And then if I wanted to calculate that, so actually I could do that. So 3,100 by times 5 gives me 15,500, if I'm not mistaken, grams of CO2. And then if I wanted to know how much I can save per month, I would simply take that 15,500 and times that by 4. If I times that by 4, what do I get? I would get 62,000, if I'm not mistaken, grams of CO2 per month. 4 was the weeks per month. These are the days per week that I'm saving. The 5, remember, because I said I'm not taking it on the weekend. And finally, in that last question here, it asks you to draw a graph with the kilometers walked on the x-axis and the CO2 that you could save per kilometer on the y-axis. So 62 is probably going to be the amount of CO2 I'm going to aim for. And the kilometers that I want to get on this graph is probably going to be, so 100 kilometers I can save per week. So it would be about 400 kilometers that I would be saving per month. So let's have a look how to draw this. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw 2 axes. I've got a y-axis and I've got an x-axis. So this is my x and this is my y. Then it said that the kilometers, the distance in kilometers goes on the x-axis and the CO2 in grams goes on the y-axis. And then I said looking at my data, 100 kilometers per week, we're aiming for a month, so that would be about 400 kilometers. So let's just say, this is 100, 200, 300, and 400 kilometers. And then my CO2, I know that I spent 155 grams of CO2 for 1 kilometer. And I want therefore to know for 100 kilometers, because that's the unit that I have here that I'm going to draw on my axis. And I want to know how much CO2 do I save by cycling 100 kilometers. So I simply need to times that by 100, so that's 15,500 grams of CO2. All right, so because I'm doing that 4 times, I'm just gonna say, there is my 15,000, and I'm just gonna round it to 15,000 to make it easier. So that's 15,000, 30,000, 45,000, and 60,000. And we said that for 100 kilometers, I can say 15,000. For 200 kilometers, that would be then 30,000, 45,000, and 60,000. And I'm now going to connect this with a straight line. Yeah, not quite, but this is going to be a bit easier for you with your ruler than for me here. Also, please make sure that when you draw this, that you put your x-axis directly on one of the lines of the squares. That makes it a bit easier to, maybe I can actually change that. And I might be able to move it. Yeah, I can. So that makes it a little bit easier. Right, and then what does this help us? So why do I even need to draw this graph? So this graph kind of shows us, okay, I am aiming for saving 400 kilometers for this month or for this challenge. But it would also show me, so if I only manage to save 300 kilometers, I would save about 45,000 grams. I can also read from this graph, if I'm saving more than 400 kilometers, how much CO2 am I going to save then? So that's one of the graphs that we could draw. I would like you now to please think about what other graphs could you draw. Think about how much money you can make per kilometer. Think about these kind of things, okay? Get creative. I would like you to draw at least one more graph with the data or predicting data that you want to gather here. Thanks.